Chapter 76. The Bhikkhu. But now, your great challenge is how to enable the majority of people to perceive and feel this Buddha mind as much as possible, because whether they are paupers, beggars, laborers, or multimillionaires, kings, emperors, all are under the specific rules of this world. Everyone is equally unaware of who they are, where they come from, what they are doing, and where they will return. Therefore, in your capacity as those who know, as those who have awakened from slumber, as those who have shed their bonds, freeing your minds and experiencing joy, you are now known as the enlightened ones. You are known to have attained the highest truth because you are the divine. You are Buddha. Nothing is higher than this. From this moment on, if you choose to be merely enlightened, individuals but do not share this method of being with others, you will be only solitary Buddhas, because you cannot create new enlightened ones. If you desire to be more than solitary enlightened ones, you must pass on what you have received to others. Therefore, I present a new choice. Will you choose to be solitary Buddhas, or will you choose to be Buddhas who guide others? If you choose to be Buddhas who guide others, let us collaborate in conveying this to the people of the world, just as you have received it from me today. I choose to be a Buddha who guides others. Lord Aki, who was sitting closest, spoke first. After that, the others followed suit. I choose to be a Buddha who guides others. Lord, Lord, Lord. The voices of those in the conversation circle rose together. Good, noble ones, since you have declared this, from this day forward, I will call you all bhikkhus, which means those who volunteer to reveal this knowledge of the divine, those who dedicate their entire lives to this work, those who are selfless, renouncing physical pleasures to travel to various places to propagate the being of Buddha. From now on, nothing will be more important than this. Matters of sustenance, fame, honor, and praise will be secondary for the bhikkhus. From now on, may you be bhikkhus with human bodies but hearts of Buddha, bhikkhus who have ceased seeking knowledge from the outside, bhikkhus who have realized the Buddha within, and who have the desire for everyone to be able to be Buddha just as you are. The Buddha said, Lord Foch, is this the ordination ceremony of the Buddha's time? I interjected, that's right. In the early days of ordination, it was just this, simply a vow to become a bhikkhu. On that night, over 200 people heard the Buddha's conversation, but 98 of them understood the essential meaning and attained realization. Most were leaders of the ascetics, each with hundreds of followers. After that, all the leaders of the ascetics conveyed this teaching to their respective followers. Some who still had doubts about the principles gathered to discuss and exchange ideas. Some groups came to see the Buddha to ask about their doubts for a full week. During that time, over 16,000 ascetics and 2,000 Lapa decided to choose to be Buddha and decided to ordain as bhikkhus with the Buddha, totaling 18,000 people. During that period, King Asoka ordered a large quantity of yellow robes dyed with turmeric to be prepared for the mass ordination ceremony, with the ruler of Vasali and King Asoka presiding over the ceremony. It was considered the first mass ordination ceremony with the largest number of bhikkhus in the history of Buddhism. Lord Foch explained, Lord, in that ordination, everyone would not have shaved their heads, as you mentioned earlier, right? Because from the image I see, everyone still has hair, I asked. That's right, because the objective of ordination in the early days of the Buddha's teachings was to travel, to propagate the method of attaining truth through the Buddha within, with the symbol of Buddhist monks being the change from wearing natural-colored cotton robes to robes, dyed with bright yellow turmeric and carrying a metal alms bowl. In those days, most ascetics already had bowls for collecting alms and shared them. As for shaving the head, as I mentioned before, it happened after the Buddha's passing, but this matter originated from a small point that expanded into a tradition, practiced to this day, stemming from the decision of a group of people. During the time of the Buddha's passing, what was the story? I asked immediately. On the night before the Buddha's cremation ceremony, the bhikkhus who had followed the Buddha at that time, along with bhikkhus who heard the news of the Buddha's passing and were able to travel to attend the cremation ceremony, totaling nearly 500, all wished to express their gratitude to the Buddha. One of them was Mahat, who was skilled in performing rituals from his days as a Brahmin. He proposed that all the bhikkhus present together show their final respects before the Buddha's body by shaving their heads and eyebrows. They agreed to maintain this head-shaving practice for the rest of their lives. That very night, they helped each other shave their heads and eyebrows. The next morning, the people who came to attend the ceremony saw the sight of men with shaved heads sitting in neat rows before the funeral pyre, which moved them deeply and made them see the gratitude they had for the Buddha as never before. And when such an event occurred, all the bhikkhus who later heard the news, even if they had not attended the funeral, voluntarily followed suit and maintained this head-shaving practice to the present day. Lord Foch explained. "Oh, I understand now. That's how it came to be. And what happened after this?" I asked. After Akita's group's ordination ceremony, the Buddha traveled on to Velavana Vihara near Rajagaha, which was on the return route to Savatthi. This place was the first residence that King Bimbisara built for the Buddha before he permanently moved to Jetavana Vihara in Savatthi, because at that time a succession dispute and a change of rulers occurred in Rajagaha. Lord Foch explained. "Where are Veluvana, Vihara and Rajagaha located?" I asked. "The location of Rajagaha is at Tambon Thung Yang, Amphola Play, Uttaradit Province. Today, traces of the ancient city can still be seen, including the remnants of the city walls and moats around the city. As for Veluvana Vihara, it is located about 1 kilometer west of Rajagaha. Today, you would know it as Wat Pra That," Lord Foch explained. "Wat Pra Sain Sila. Is this the Veluvana temple that was the first temple of Buddhism?" I said. "Yes. Why did he travel there? And what indicates that this is Veluvana temple?" I asked. "Because the Buddha's mission this time was to travel to mark important locations related to his life, and Veluvana temple was considered one of the important places. King Asoka deemed it appropriate to enshrine the Buddha's hair relics there as evidence for later generations of bhikkhus to know and pass on. Veluvana temple, in those days, did not have the appearance it does today. It was a bamboo forest of a local species that was shady, with large, straight, and beautiful stalks. The groves looked clean and not overgrown. The stalks had a white, powdery coating. King Bimbisara often used this area as a resting place before building a large wooden pavilion for meetings and several dozen small houses for the Buddha's residence. All the structures at that time were made of wood and bamboo, which were not permanent. The only permanent objects were a rectangular stone platform about 1 meter by 2 meters, which the Buddha often used as a seat to talk with people who came to see him more often than in the pavilion, because it was amidst nature, and a simple, square stone cuspidor for betel nut spit. A betel nut spittoon. Does that mean the Buddha chewed betel nut? I interjected. In those days, whether they were men or women, young or old, poor or rich, everyone chewed betel nut. The reasons they chewed betel nut were both cultural values and to help solve oral problems such as gum disease, tooth decay, pyorrhea, bad breath, as well as to relieve bloating, flatulence, and balance the body's elements. Therefore, any place that was a gathering place for people and required orderliness would have a designated area for spitting betel nut and discarding chewed betel nut properly, and there was another stone platform located on a nearby hilltop, where the Buddha often went to rest at night, especially during the hot season, because it was better ventilated than below. On this visit to Veluvana temple by the Buddha and King Asoka, the Buddha intended to create a symbol to indicate that this place was once Veluvana temple. When the Buddha arrived, he was met with a disheartening sight. Veluvana Vihara was deserted and neglected. The trees were overgrown and densely covered. But fortunately, it was a bamboo forest, so weeds could not grow. However, the open areas that were once crowded with people were now covered with layers of leaves and bamboo leaves. The wooden pavilion was dilapidated, and the thatched roof was decaying, leaving only the frame and wooden pillars that were still usable. The things that were still in the most original condition were the stone platform and the square stone betel nut spittoon. As soon as they arrived, King Asoka ordered the stone platform area to be cleaned and prepared a pit to enshrine the hair relics, using laterite stone that could be found in the vicinity as material. He ordered sandstone to be carved into cylindrical pillars and stacked to a height of about 3 meters to serve as a marker for future successors to know the importance of this place. After that, the Buddha asked 3 bhikkhus to volunteer to reside here to care for this temple as a center for propagating the Buddha's teachings. Then the Buddha returned to Savatthi, parting ways with King Asoka in Rajagaha itself. Lord Foch, what happened during that time? Why did the Buddha abandon Veluvana Vihara and let it become deserted? I asked.